Week 43, Day 1. It takes more than medicine. If one were to look at the roster of physical handicaps, one would reach the somber conclusion that the list is a long one. Included would be stunted development of an arm or leg due to a birth anomaly. Others would be the result of a crippling disease that has caused muscles to atrophy. The list would go on with illnesses and injuries that maim and debilitate. Modern medicine has done much to ameliorate the physical problems. However, there are an inordinate number of problems of the handicapped that have still to be alleviated. People are not naturally callous, but in some perverse way they have the propensity to repress any concern with the physically handicapped. The social problems seem to be inherent in our own attitudes. Sample sentences. 1. If you heap opprobrium on an impious child, it probably will not ameliorate the conditions that led to the rebelliousness. 2. The coach knew he would have to add experienced players to the roster to compensate for the spate of freshmen on the team. 3. There seems to be voluminous evidence that the mother's smoking will stunt the baby's growth. 4. The prodigy allowed his musical talent to atrophy as he redirected his career. 5. When it seemed that Reggie would maim his opponent, we broke up the fight. Week 43, Day 2. Doing the right thing. The obstacles that frustrate the physically handicapped person who is seeking employment may turn him into a cynic. Too often a prospective employer, with a rather unctuous manner, actually tends to degrade the handicapped by proffering employment that is really beneath them and their abilities. The employer appears to be acting in a benevolent manner, but this attitude shows no compassion, for he really expects the person seeking the job to remain subservient. This iniquity cannot but give the handicapped a feeling that they are being discriminated against. He does not expect a sinecure, but he has an aversion to the prevalent belief that he should consider himself lucky to find any employment. Sample sentences. 1. We had to wince as we watched the newcomer try to wheedle and ingratiate himself into the teacher's favor in the most unctuous manner. 2. It is easy to become a cynic when the same adults who inveigh most vehemently against the uncouth actions that they say permeate our youth drink to satiety and behave fatuously. 3. We all have moments when we vacillate between selfish and benevolent desires. 4. While his demeanor remained imperturbable, there was latent anger at the ignominious and subservient role he had to play. 5. Those who are complacent about any iniquity in our society should be wary of the unsavory consequences for all. Week 43, Day 3. A better way. Why is there any question about the propriety of hiring the physically handicapped? No one who understands their needs can condone this attitude. The offering of employment should not be considered a largesse. There should be no need to vindicate the hiring of a handicapped person. The only criterion should be what he is capable of doing. If this is the approach, the handicapped worker will not feel he is an encumbrance to his boss. The employer, on the other hand, will find it conducive to good work and will not repent his having tried something new just to mollify his conscience. Even for the most mercenary employer, there should be no reticence in eliciting the best that is possible from the handicapped worker. Sample sentences. 1. He felt it would be ignominious for him to accept any largesse from the charlatan whose Machiavellian schemes had made him affluent. 2. Behind the facade of ostensible benevolence there was a mercenary streak. 3. The platitude, "I know what I like," is often used to rationalize our lack of a criterion for things about which we are dubious. 4. When mother is in a pique about some infraction of a rule, it takes all of our dexterity to mollify her. 5. After every election we repent, in a belated criticism, the apathy and complacency of so many people who failed to vote. Week 43, Day 4. Just be yourself. Socially, the handicapped person is often treated as a pariah. Most people hold themselves aloof from normal contact with those who are different. This social separation propagates additional feelings of antipathy. If normal individuals would socialize with the handicapped individual, they would learn in a pragmatic way that these are people who happen to have a physical handicap. The handicap does not make them any less human. The iniquity of assuming that physical superiority equals moral superiority prevents all of us from direct human relationships. As long as there is a vestige of feeling that handicapped people are inferior, then we are all handicapped in one way or another. Under the guise of physical superiority we demonstrate a moral turpitude that is harmful to all. Sample sentences. 1. After therapy, there remained hardly a vestige of his phobia. 2. He was stigmatized as a pariah when he had the audacity to boast of his nefarious and sordid career printing bogus money. 3. Although many people say this is a propitious time to invest in the stock market, there is a tenable argument for remaining aloof. 4. In the guise of maintaining national unity under military rule, there was a paucity of even innocuous dissent. 5. You can't argue with success, was his pragmatic reply to derogatory remarks about a movie star who had only superficial talent as an actor.